Well, John's going to introduce her right now, Bob.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good morning. Throughout this year, we have highlighted some of the nonprofits supporting teenagers, those feeding the homeless, along with those involved with food insecurity and food rescue. We have advocated for those that are ALICE constrained and lack affordable housing. We've had tribal agricultural specialists and their efforts to recycle and compost fish waste biomass and farm-to-table operations. This episode might best be titled Table to Farm and How to Create a Circular Economy. We're fortunate to have with us today Lindsey Walker. Lindsey studied women's studies at Antioch College and holds a master's degree in international development and management from the School for International Training in Brattleboro, Vermont. And I'm surprised I could not find a doctorate of activism somewhere in her bio. Lindsey is a member of the Northern Michigan Community Action Agency, serves on the board of directors, and serves on the city council in Petoskey. Lindsey also currently holds a position in market development, commercial accounts, and recycling outreach at Emmett County Recycling. I believe Lindsey also won the NEMIAC Environmentalist of the Year Award and has a very informative Facebook page with some composting tips. A group called Thinking Petoskey was born in 2016 with a lofty ideal. What if they could improve the human condition in northern Michigan by promoting, educating, and encouraging businesses to do better? And this is just one of their results. Lindsey and the entire Emmett County recycling team continues to lead not only the state of Michigan, but the industry nationwide in decreasing waste streams and increasing community involvement and commitment. The best hub and spoke recycling, rural recycling program around. They're making positive impact at all levels and uplifting some off the margins into being full-time active stakeholders in the process. Again, a circular economy. So many issues in Michigan. Still no unified septic code or homeschooling oversight. But here's another one. The national average rate of recycling in this country is 34%. Truly, we are a culture of consumption and waste. And Michigan has a dismal 19% recycling rate. Hopefully today we can take some notes on how to start a countywide composting modeled after Emmett County's success, while the Emmett County recycling team continues building relationships with markets for the other many hard to recycle materials. To quote Lindsey, we can offer other communities the opportunity to come and see our facility because what we do is replicable, scalable, and absolutely shareable. So I say let's light this fuse and see where it takes it. Should not be that difficult. Please welcome Lindsey Walker.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that very interesting introduction. I don't know if I've ever heard about myself in that context before, so thank you for that. So if I have the ability to share my screen, I have a bit of a assembled PowerPoint presentation for you all here this morning. And feel free to ask questions along the way, or I can just zoom right through this presentation and then we can aggregate those questions for the very end. So,
Lindsey,
give me screen sharing ability.
Yes. Lindsey, I'm sorry, Lindsey, I did make you a co-host. We can't see you. Is your camera not on?
Oh, my camera's definitely on. Can you not? I see myself.
I don't see.
Can anybody else see Lindsey?
No.
I see myself and my camera's on and my my mute is off. So
all right, so let's try your slideshow. I'm afraid we're not going to be able to see your slideshow. Let's see.
Okay. Well, if you can give me screen sharing ability. So you did give me hide self view.
Yep.
Spotlight for everyone. Can you see me now? No?
Nope.
No.
Because I'm right here like live and in the flesh. Okay. So let me see. How would this work? So are you just seeing like a black screen on?
Oh, now
There you go. There you are.
Okay. So I can't, okay. All right. So let's see. So if you've given me screen sharing ability, can you see me still or no?
Yep.
Now you
Yep,
can
we
see
can.
me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So where I would have sharing screen would be where?
Well, mine's at the bottom.
Screen. Okay. Yep. There it is. Okay. Okay. So let me see if I can just pull up the PowerPoint presentation, and that's going to work.
Is there a teenager available?
Mine just dropped me off here because we're a one-car family. All right. So I have my screen pulled up right now. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Not yet.
Okay. And now still can't see it.
Right.
Okay. Well,
You hit share screen, right?
I did hit share screen. Of course, you know what? Doing a Zoom call, I don't think I've ever been part of a Zoom call that's actually not had any technical difficulties. And anyway,
Right. Well, the other thing you could do is you could send me the PowerPoint and I could run it. But that's,
yeah, it's
want to just go
really-
ahead and talk about how you got things
It's such
going.
a shame because I spent a lot of time for this
I'm so
presentation.
sorry.
And that really unfortunate. Okay. Let me see if I can try this one more time.
Hey, Sam,
Lindsey,
Sam,
Yes, Bob.
are you still the host?
Yes, but Lindsay's the co-host. I know how to do this, Bob. But
Well, I wanted to share something with you, Sam. Do you mind?
go
It
ahead.
says on my screen, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
but she's not a participant. She's a host now.
Oh, it says you started screen sharing. There it is, Lindsay.
Can you
That
see it
looks
now?
wonderful. Yes.
Hey.
Yay. Okay, wonderful. Here we go.
Yay.
Okay, let's go from the beginning of the slideshow then. From
Okay.
beginning. Okay, here we go. So thank you, everybody. Emmett County Recycling is a 30-year-old resource recovery program. We are located in Little Traverse Township in the Harbor Springs vicinity in beautiful Emmett County. Emmett County, it does not have a landfill in our county. And so Little Traverse Township was the willing and able municipality to host the Emmett County Transfer Station. So just to take a step back when I was a little girl, I grew up here in the city of Petoskey. And I was born in 1974 and right here at Northern Michigan Hospitals. When I was a little girl, the city of Petoskey had a township dump located right outside of town. And most of our municipalities and townships throughout Northern Michigan and throughout the state actually had these small township dumps. And they were pretty much unregulated where people could bring their residential trash and commercial trash, and the city and the municipalities were the ones that actually managed the collection and the disposal into these township dumps and landfills. And in the late 80s, the state of Michigan decided to consolidate most of their transfer stations and township dumps. The privatization of waste kind of transpired in the late 80s, early 90s. And so municipalities and townships went from being responsible and bearing the cost and the burden of trash collection and disposal through tax dollar systems. And so that big shift happened in the late 80s, early 90s. Emmett County Department of Public Works was begun in 1990, and our planning and zoning department took over the regional kind of necessity for solid waste management. And so they hired Elisa Seltzer, who was a driver for Ann Arbor's curbside recycling program. She was physically one of the recycling drivers driving the streets in Ann Arbor, picking up recyclables. She was hired on as the DPW director. And that's kind of where the story of Emmett County Recycling begins in 1990. So who we are. 35 years later, 34 years later, we are now 30 employees at Emmett County Department of Public Works. We're a little bit unusual of a model, and we operate a waste transfer station. We have a dual stream recycling program and a yard waste composting and super drop-off site for recyclables. And we also manage a wood recycling facility. So right now we're been through a tremendous amount of transition, like many organizations in the last 5 years, due to the pandemic. And so we operate with Andy Tolsdorf. This woman on the left-hand side is our director of our program. Now she trained under Elisa Seltzer, as did I, and has been our director since 2019. Ashley Burr is our grants and resources coordinator. Here's myself and Noelle Burr. She's our Noelle Bailing. She is our communications and marketing person.
Hey,
and then
Lindsey,
Yes.
Lindsey, your slides aren't progressing. We're
Okay.
still on the very first one.
Okay. I don't know. How do I enter? Okay, there we go. So you're not seeing them right now progress.
No, I see the Emmett County recycling, but I don't see, like, you're talking about slide 4, but we haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so apps.zoom is sharing a window, so I can stop sharing or I can hide this.
I think what you need to hit is slideshow.
Okay, I can go back. Escape. Slideshow
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
from beginning. Yes?
Okay.
Yep.
Now we see who we are, Emmett County by
Okay.
the numbers. Yep.
So yes, we are 30 employees. We have here at Emmett County Recycling, we're a little unusual in that we are the educators, we are the drivers, we are the recycling processing facility, we are the super drop-off center, and we also are responsible for marketing our recyclables and our commodities. So that is part of my role at Emmett County Recycling, is the marketing of our finished commodities and a lot of hard to recycle materials. I also handle all the commercial accounts for the county. So that involves the commercial curbside recycling program, which we built our food scrap collection program off of the success of that program. And so it really requires a whole team of recycling drivers and educators and people to answer the phone and website developers. So in all of the above strategy. We don't get any funding from the county here at Emmett County Department of Public Works. We are responsible for our own self-funding, but we still are managed by the administration of Emmett County. Our mission is to provide opportunities and education for employees, residents, businesses, and neighboring communities to reduce waste, reduce, reuse, recycle, and properly dispose of materials in order to preserve the natural beauty of our Northern Michigan community. The 3 kind of principles of our recycling program and any waste diversion program is it needs to be convenient, comprehensive, and cost-effective. Comprehensive meaning the more materials you accept for recycling and waste reduction, the more incentive there is to participate in that program. Who we are, Emmett County by the numbers, fast and furious, 295,000 acres, mostly forest land, also a good proportion of farmland here, 10,000 acres of inland water area, 68 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline. 22 government units, 2 cities, the city of Harbor Springs and the city of Petoskey, 3 villages, 16 townships, and Little Traverse Bay Bands of Odawa Indian Sovereign Nation. So we also have our native sovereign nation here, similar to Grand Traverse Bay Bands, where you folks are located. So 32,000 people, between 32 and 36,000 people year round in Emmett County. Our population quadruples in the summertime because of our tourist-based economy. We equal about 14,000 households. And our program itself. So our policy, despite changes in leadership over the last 30 years here at Emmett County, there are some things that are steadfast with our recycling program, and that includes policy. So many of our counties right now are on the cusp of their materials management planning. These will be revisions of our previous solid waste plans. Every county's got one. Ours has not been updated administratively since 2005. But most of us in this region, in this 10 county area, including Leelanau County, haven't done any revisions of their solid waste plan since 2000. So all of us, all 83 counties in the state of Michigan, beginning next year in 2024, will begin the revisions of their what is now called materials management planning. So what Emmett has to offer in those conversations in the region and in the state, really solid policy that we implemented 30 years ago. With the visionary leadership we had with Elisa Seltzer guiding the ship of Emmett County Department of Public Works, we were able to implement policies at that time that continue to grow and build our program and create a model for waste diversion, recycling, and composting. So the three policies of that piece, and this is all available on our website as well, so you folks will be able to do additional research if you're so interested. Our solid waste ordinance is basically comprised of all the garbage that's generated in Emmett County must come through our waste transfer station. We compact that garbage and then we send it out to the closest landfill, which is in Onaway. So 38 miles due east of our facility in Presque Isle County, and Onaway is the closest landfill to us. And so we have contracts with the owners of that landfill, which is now GFL, Green for Life. They had purchased that in a big acquisition throughout the state of Michigan, a almost $1 billion worth of acquisition in this state in the last 5 years. And so they operate that landfill as well as operate the recycling facility in Traverse City. They've taken over for American Waste, and you folks are very familiar with them. So all of our garbage here that we generate in Emmett County has to come to our facility, gets compacted in 120-yard trailers, and goes to the landfill in Onaway. The only material that is exempt from having to go through our facility is construction and demolition waste, and haulers can haul those direct to landfill or to whatever other facilities they so choose. So that is not flow controlled like garbage is. Recyclables are also not flow controlled, but that would be something we would consider as the competition for single stream recycling and GFL has definitely encroached into Emmett County. And so that would be a possible consideration for flow control for our next solid waste planning process. Also, the other piece of policy that we have that has been integral to the proper incentivizing of recycling and waste diversion through pricing is called a federal program called Pay As You Throw. The concept here is that government should no longer be paying for the disposal of trash. That is something that residents and businesses should take on themselves. The more garbage you throw away, the more you're going to pay for that. We provide 75% of residential discards are recyclable through our program. The majority of those are free. So residents and businesses can do the math. We have incentivized pricing and pay as you throw. So if you're going to be trashy and you want to throw it all away, you're going to pay the premium price to do so. And
Hey, Lindsey,
yes, yep.
if you use your space bar, you might be able to move your slides.
Okay. So convenient, comprehensive, and cost effective is how we program our policies. So that's based on our policies of ordinance, flow control, and pay as you throw. Here's a picture of our facility. You guys seeing this screen right now?
No.
No.
What is going on? I don't understand. What are you seeing on the screen right now?
The
Who
three
we
little
are in the
kids.
county. Would
The three
everybody
little kids.
would please, Bob, would you mute yourself, please? We're only seeing Lindsey slide number 4.
Okay. So if I hit enter. I'm so sorry. Okay.
You try your mouse
Okay.
and the space bar doesn't work either. Okay.
So let's go back to.
Can you just click over on number 5?
I have the yard waste compost facility is coming up right now.
Is that number 6?
Nope, I have now slide 1 is up. Here's slide 2, 3, 4.
No,
What do you-
we're still seeing slide 4.
Okay, let me just escape out of here.
That's slide 3, slide 4.
Okay, so now you, okay,
Now we see who we are,
okay,
our mission.
excellent. Okay, so here we go.
This
So this is what I was talking about. Ordinance, flow control, and pay as you throw. These are policy tools that we use to fund our program. Our solid waste plan gives us the ability to plan and design our goals and objectives. When you control the garbage in your community, you can also control the opportunities for diversion. In our program, residents and businesses are given a financial incentive to recycle by our solid waste ordinance. These policies allow us to have a recycling program of the 3 C's. The 3 C's being convenience. So now our municipalities, instead of paying for garbage and picking up the trash for the residents and businesses and bearing that burden and that cost, how the municipalities and townships pay for the curbside recycling for their residents. We do have a municipality, Resort Township, that also pays for the curbside recycling weekly for its business. So now, for example, whereas the DPW of the city of Petoskey used to manage a very expensive landfill and the collection and the unionized workers to pick up the garbage and the garbage trucks, now they pay for the curbside recycling at $3 per household per month for their residents. And so a definite cost savings, and the residents love that the municipalities are and their taxes are going to pay for the curbside service. And so they see that in their day-to-day life. Emmett County Recycling, when you come down the streets of Petoskey on a Wednesday or a Thursday, you see a line of recycling carts and very little garbage. So those are that's kind of like the proof in the pudding, and that like the investment has happened, and the municipalities and the residents are engaged in our recycling program. We have really high participation rates, and it's a very good community-based feeling. People enjoy, and they see that like on their tax bill, the portion that they pay for bulky waste cleanup or recycling is so small compared to what the rest of the portion of their taxes are going to. So it's very significant in people's day-to-day lives. Okay, let me try this next slide, see if this is going to work or not. Okay, and so now I'm on the slide of the picture of our facility. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we occupy 10 acres of a 40-acre site. As you can see, this is an aerial view of our materials recovery facility. Here on the bottom left-hand side is our MRF. So we are a dual stream MRF. The reason we are dual stream is because we value the end market or the commodity that we're producing out of that facility. So we will continue to remain dual stream, because without end markets for your recyclables, you have no recycling program. So Emmett County Recycling focuses exclusively on transparent relationships with our end markets. And in the world of recycling, yes, we do it for environmental reasons. Yes, we do it for the circular economy, but mostly we are producing feedstock for manufacturers here in this country to produce products in the circular economy. So when I tell you that you can recycle your plastic bags through Emmett County Recycling, we're telling you how to do so that plastic bag can make its way through our facility, and we can get it as requested by Trex Decking in Winchester, Virginia, that those plastic bags and plastic film be clean and dry. So by educating the consumer on the specs for recycling, we're preparing materials for manufacturers. That's the connection between the consumer and the recycling facility, us, and the end market where they're going to make those commodities. So that's part of our facility. We also offer a super drop-off center, a collection of things like tires and scrap metal and appliances, things like wood and pallets, obviously yard waste for composting and food scrap drop-off. So convenience is really important, and we're a super drop-off center. There are many more materials that we would like to be recovering, and we hope to do so in the next 3 years through a variety of different funding mechanisms that are available state and federally. So a little bit about our yard waste composting facility, because I know we wanted to talk about organics in particular. We started with a yard waste compost facility in 2005. There has been a yard waste ban from landfill in the state of Michigan since 1994. That yard waste ban has fostered the beginning of the composting industry in Michigan. without that yard waste ban, if we had yard waste, leaves and grass clippings going back into an environment, in an anaerobic landfill environment, that generates methane almost instantly, one of the most powerful greenhouse gases. So yard waste composting is really instrumental, to our foundations. And we started out small with these small windrows and using our bucket loader, just a loader operator on site, turning these materials and beginning the biological manufacturing or biological decomposition in a compost facility. Here we have a picture of our floral and food scraps from our first pilot program. We piloted food scrap collection in 2015 with several of our local restaurants. We started a very small pilot program using $50,000 of seed money that we were given by the county in 2014 for the creation of a pilot program for organic waste collection in restaurants and businesses. And so that pilot program in 2015 has then grown into a regular composting program that I'll talk to you about in just a little bit. So using the resources that we have, we already had a yard waste composting facility. We wanted to start integrating food waste, and we had a great curbside recycling collection program with our commercial businesses. And a lot of those restaurants and floral shops were looking for that, no pun intended, that next low-hanging fruit for opportunities to divert material from their waste stream. So here's a picture, an aerial view, and we take pictures every year of our compost facility because we're regulated by Eagle in the state of Michigan. So we have to do annual reporting of our facility. So we take aerial drone photographs. Here you have an example of, I think this picture was taken back in 2018, but these are composting windrows. So this is how we form these really warm ovens of cooking, decomposing material. And we turn them and we take temperatures. So composting is all about an art and science of biological decomposition. So time and turning of these windrows will get us a very beautiful finished product. And at Emmett County, it takes anywhere from 9 months to a year and a half to get our finished product. Inbound, we're bringing in about 5,000 cubic yards a year of material, both food waste and yard waste. It's a 3-to-1 ratio of composting. But really in all the compositions of what we're bringing into our facility, it's about 90% yard waste and less than 10% food waste. And we have to keep those ratios just so, because that's how the state is regulated. So when you're talking about composting, especially when you're talking about materials management planning here in the state of Michigan, it is important to include composting in our discussion of comprehensive recycling. Organic waste counts for 30% of the municipal solid waste stream, while yard waste is banned from the landfill here in Michigan for very good reason. That ban continues to get challenged. And as many of you who are following renewable energy in the state of Michigan, they are now going to continue to allow methane extraction from landfills as a source of renewable energy until we can get to that transition here in Michigan in 2040 for 100% renewable energy. This is a little disconcerting for us in the composting industry, because the threat of landfill operators wanting to reintegrate yard waste back into landfills could come up for legislative discussion again. So we're always hyper vigilant on the policy level to make sure that food waste and yard waste remain out of the landfill, as the highest and best use for those materials should be in composting or anaerobic digestion anywhere else but in the landfill. So the landfill is the wrong place for organic waste. Even if methane is being captured for energy, waste utilization is lower down on the recovery pyramid that I'll talk to you about in a little bit than even recycling of food scraps and yard waste. So as long as we keep those bans in place, and there's states throughout the country, obviously Vermont, Massachusetts, New Jersey, surprisingly, and obviously California, Oregon, and Washington that have really good food waste bans and comprehensively really working towards removing organics from landfills because of the climate implications. Okay, here is our compost facility. This is a more recent photo. I think this picture was taken earlier this year in 2023. Here you see above one of our farmers locally, KK, who used to work for ZB Mijuang Farm, which is the tribe's farm up in Carp Lake, Michigan, north of our facility. And ZB Mijuang and Mishko Ode Farm are our two tribal farm partners that have been utilizing our compost for many years now. So having farmers providing testimony and trying our compost has really been helpful for us in educating our community about compost, because there still is a pretty large learning curve. Okay. Here we have pictures taken this year of myself, my coworker Jana Steffel, and myself. We're both trained in the United States Composting Council's compost operator training course, which we took at Michigan State University back in August of 2022. We work with a state organization called the Michigan Organics Council. It's our United States Composting Council chapter. We provide education and resources and camaraderie to other composters in the state of Michigan. So we will continue to advocate for the training for Michigan composters as more people come on board and are interested in the composting process. Just some testimonials, and these are all available on our website as well. We have a very comprehensive website at Emmett County Recycling. So having people in our neighborhoods and our businesses that are using our compost and giving testimony to like the results that they're seeing is very helpful. And we also, as you can see here on the bottom of this slide, we always publish our compost testing results from the A&L compost testing lab in Illinois. So those are always available on our site so that you can see our biological composition of our compost samples from year to year. And this year we happened to screen another 1,000 cubic yards. So usually our compost is ready in the spring, early summer, and we contract with a local excavator to come in and screen our compost. And then we send it for testing, and then we have it available for sale, bagged and in bulk and whatnot. So just some pictures of our operations there. And so now more so about the why we are composting. And as a super drop-off site and the folks that control the garbage stream in Emmett County, we know that about 50% of the municipal solid waste stream is organic material. So this is national data here, but this garbage bag and this image really helps people, especially planners here in the state of Michigan, as we move forward with our materials management planning. This image right here is something that almost everybody can relate to, from household to business to whatever, because we all generate discards. So if you look at like the typical composition of a 30-gallon trash bag nationally, 21 to 25% is food scraps alone from our homes. 15% is paper and paperboard. If you're a recycler, that's out of the stream. 8% is yard trimmings. Well, in Michigan, those shouldn't be going in the trash. And another 8% would be wood waste. And that also has sources for diversion in Michigan. But what you're talking about is basically the majority of what's going in the landfill is of organic nature. And that's where the problem of methane generation and powerful greenhouse gases is really happening. So even that visual image will be really helpful in all of our materials management planning process as we move forward, because what we're talking about is mostly organics. Why? So as I mentioned before, what happens to food waste and organics and paper products in a landfill? Anaerobic environment, there's no light, there's no air, and there's no water. Putrid food waste decomposes really quickly, and the ability to capture that methane is not really technologically possible at this juncture. This stuff is decomposing quickly and releasing methane almost before the stages of methane capture in landfills can really get it. So that's where a lot of the problem and the why we are doing this. But, you know, we talk about it differently. If I was to talk to my county commissioners right now about climate change and why we're doing this, it wouldn't float over very well here in Emmett County. And so how we frame that is we talk about waste reduction, we talk about cost savings, and we frame it differently depending on who our audience is. So moving forward, depending on who we're talking to at any given time on materials management planning, whether that's here in Emmett County or in Sheboygan or Mackinac County or our partners in this region, we're going to talk differently about it based on the political will to make that happen. All right. So who are the largest generators? It's us and our homes. Can everybody see this slide okay? Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. So it's us in our homes. About for every 4 bags of groceries that the average American household brings home, they're wasting like one of them. It adds up to almost anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a year in wasted food. We found that crisper drawer where your lettuce and greens go, that's where all good food goes to die. So we know that it's our responsibility here at Emmett County Recycling to really educate our residents and businesses. They're doing a great job of recycling. So here's the next low-hanging fruit of how you can reduce your waste stream. So 25% of the food you're buying is wasted. That's an economic situation, but it's also causing this climate situation that is very avoidable. So we created the Good All Food of Future campaign in 2017. It was funded through our local Petoskey Harbor Springs Area Community Foundation. And it was all about residential food waste reduction, knowing that the majority of food waste that was going into landfills here locally was from our homes. So we organized a truckload backyard compost bin sale. The more the closer you compost your food scraps to your home or to the place of generation, the lower the carbon footprint. So we still encourage our residents to compost in their own backyards and then use that finished compost product for their own homes and gardens and landscaping. So continuing to educate on the joys of backyard composting. Not everybody can do that. Some people live in homeowners associations or condominiums or multifamily units. You can't compost in those facilities. So now we offer comprehensive drop-offs for residents and businesses to drop off food scraps anytime. We have businesses that participate in these carts. And we also were doing it for many years at farmers markets, and we still participate in those. So in those farmers markets, back when we started this campaign, we were giving away these really nice, convenient kitchen caddies for people to collect their food scraps. So these little 3-gallon containers, and that gave the folks an opportunity to collect their food scraps and explore the joys of backyard composting or how to reduce food by shopping smart, giving them all kinds of tips. And they participated in, taking a pledge about that they would reduce their food waste. They get a caddy, they get education, and hopefully they're helping us by buying compost and utilizing compost in their gardens and their landscaping. So who does that involve? That involved kids and schools and people that were shopping at the farmers market. It included the farmers themselves and many of our residents who were interested in exploring the joys of composting with Emmett County Recycling. So here's some education on backyard composting. We still offer training sessions, and we'll have guest speakers come into Emmett County. We have a very talented organics maven, my friend Amy Freeman. She and I are both the co-chairs of the Michigan Organics Council. She is a fervent and very easy to understand backyard composter. So here's some pictures of her backyard operation, making sure you have plenty of carbon sources, all of these beautiful leaves to mix with your very nitrogen rich and wet and nitrogen rich food scraps. So perfect ratios of carbon to nitrogen, time and temperature and turning, demonstrating the best practices for backyard composting. And here's something I mentioned earlier, the food recovery hierarchy. This is how we educate around the highest and best uses for not wasting food. Source reduction is numero uno, and that the less food that you're wasting or reducing a volume of surplus food, the better it is. So that it's kind of like that kilowatt hour not used is the most highest and best and most efficient kilowatt hour, right? So source reduction is number one. Feeding people in terms of food rescue, which I know that you folks have covered before with Goodwill of Northern Michigan and other entities that are working hard on rescuing food. So feeding hungry people, feeding animals. Industrial uses like anaerobic digestion are kind of quantified as a higher and best use. And composting really in this graphic with the EPA is just above landfilling food waste. So this is kind of our guide and our beacon for how do we keep food waste reduction at the forefront. And especially with our residents and like helping them shop smart and making sure that if you're buying some beautiful kale or something at the farmer's market, that you have a plan for using that in some way. Otherwise, it might end up going bad in your crisper drawer. So we're sowing the future of food scraps in northern Michigan, and this is the sign that we created for our businesses in Emmett County as we were piloting our food scrap collection program. So since we began that program in 2015. We now have 40 businesses that we collect from, food scraps from, and also BPI certified compostable packaging. We accept that material as well for composting at our very commercial and industrial composting facility. And now we've reached 3.3 million pounds of food waste diversion since beginning that program. We also make connections with food producers in our region. American Spoon Foods is a large packaged food producer in Petoskey. And sometimes, as a food manufacturer, they have purges that they have to do of a lot of their fruit and vegetable scraps, stuff that's been frozen maybe and has expired in terms of its use. So we have connected them with pig farmers and chicken farmers to send scrap there. So last year, for example, American Spoon Food had 55-gallon barrels of peach slop. A lot of it were pits and things that were like the skins. They could no longer use it. And so we sent it to a pig farmer in Wolverine and one up in Levering. They split the load. They both came and got it with their trucks and trailers. And so they were able to take these 55-gallon barrels. And you can imagine the resulting bacon must have tasted like peaches because it was just before slaughter that they fed a lot of these animals this peach slop. So would have loved to have gotten some of that bacon because all of those abilities to make sure that we would have been happy to compost that pig slop, or that peach slop, but it's really liquidy. And so the highest and best use would be to make sure that it was going to animals for feed in that result. So we've also been able to make those connections and be a resource for highest and best use and food waste diversion in our community. All right, I could go on and on until the break of dawn about our program because there is so much to cover, but I also just want to refer to our Emmett Recycling.org website, and then our email address and contact information. On our website, we talk a lot about where your recyclables go in Emmett County. We have our model on our website as well. And then every year we do our annual report. And so we have our 2022 annual report there as well. All right.
Wow. Thank you, Lindsey. You are one amazing woman. So you can stop your screen share. And I know Kama Ross has a really good question she wants to ask you.
I wrote it. I thought that's where you'd get it. But Lindsey, thank you so much. I had the opportunity to go to GFL's recycling center in Traverse City recently, and their staff shared with us that they keep 95% of the recyclable materials that enter their center in the state of Michigan for repurposing. And I heard you mention that your plastic bags go to Virginia, the state of Virginia. So I was just kind of curious about your where you sell your recyclable materials to, or where do you bring them to?
Sure. And so on our website, there is information about where your recyclables go. So depending on what commodity you're talking about. So our plastic bags and plastic film have been going to Trex Decking. So Trex makes composite lumber. And if you're very familiar with the product, and you can source it at any building supply company, there's several different kinds of composite lumber companies that exist now, but Trex makes one that is for decking and front porches and outdoor applications. The advantage of a product like that is if many of you may be very familiar. If you have treated lumber or wood, you have to like sand and stain and paint and sand and stain and paint on a regular basis to maintain an outdoor type of environment. And so with that Trex composite lumber, they can take a variety of different kinds of plastics and then wood pulp and kind of hide those recyclables and the different colors within a composite lumber, because that's a really good application for plastics that otherwise maybe aren't clear enough or clean enough to be repurposed and remanufactured into a bottle to bottle or a bag to bag program. So Trex is kind of the ideal market for us because they can take a combination of all the pallet wrap, the marina shrink wrap, the clear bags, the black bags, the clear, the blue, the colored, and everything. They accept it all, as opposed to some other end markets like Petoskey Plastics. They only want LDPE number 4 plastic, and it has to be clear or white because they have no threshold for all the different colors and polymers that would be included in these 2 different streams of plastic film and plastic bags. So end markets are really essential, because if you don't have an end market for something, you have no recycling program. And then all of a sudden you don't have an end market, you're going to have to landfill the material, or you're going to have to stockpile it for a long time until you can find a market. So that's why public trust and transparency are hyper important at Emmett County Recycling, because without that public trust and without those end markets, we have no recycling program. And that's where programs are getting into trouble in this country. Like for a long time, recycling programs bailed up all their material, did very little sorting, and passed it off to China. And that, here at Emmett, like we've never had the opportunity or the privilege of just bailing stuff up and exporting it to another country. And that's radically irresponsible. And so good for China at some point for saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to accept your trash from the United States. Like if you guys are going to sell us recyclables, you need to clean up your stream. So the United States had a moment of reckoning and awakening in this country, in the recycling industry in 2013 and through 2017, when we lost a lot of our end markets for China. So here at Emmett, like we do really due diligence of building those relationships, maintaining like clarity and transparency on what happens with your recyclables and why we ask you to separate and do what we do.
It looks like Carrie and Mickey also have a question.
Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for your presentation. So you've been doing this for 30 years. What would your recommendations be to a county that is just thinking about starting a program? Where would you start? How might you strategically build it?
I think the possibilities in the materials management planning that are going to be happening in the next year are a great place to start. It's pretty set here in Michigan, like who the composition of the materials management planning has to be from county to county. I know that you guys I know that your county planner has retired. And so that whole process will be unfolding in the next year. So really that'll be your opportunity as a community to really start to do like your envisioning of what the future is going to look like for materials management planning in Leelanau County, and addressing different parts of the stream as a group will probably be essential. You already have a recycling partner with GFL, as they are the regional hauler and landfill operator and MRF and single stream MRF operator. So, you're going to be building off of those relationships, but really this materials management planning is an opportunity to get all of your visions in a document that can become a living and working and a beacon of just like a master plan that you've created in your respective communities over the years. It's going to be the same kind of process. So this is our opportunity to make having these dialogues with the haulers and all the people that are going to be sitting at this table, and making sure that you guys are getting what you want in this visionary document, because chances are neither myself nor most of us that are on this call are going to be here in 40 years. And so we have to have that vision now for what that future is going to look like. So I believe that even if you feel like you're a nascent program, there's going to be opportunities in this materials management programming for us to have a vision of what the respective materials management planning will look like for each of our communities. And you can do a drill down on down to a nuance of here in Emmett County, I want to make sure that when we're doing brownfield redevelopments, that we're thinking about contaminated soil and where is that product going to go and how are we going to manage that material. So I'm thinking about a drill down on materials coming out of brownfield redevelopments and wastewater treatment plants. How are we handling that? What's the highest and best use for our wastewater coming out of our municipal and township wastewater management facilities? So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for all of us. And I'm trying to be hyper positive about the opportunities because I feel like there's a lot of counties that are feeling really overwhelmed with the prospects of having to organize this materials management planning over a 3-year process.
All I can say is, wow. You are an amazing font of information. And I know we'll be calling you again and again and again. And
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, there's so many synergies between ourselves here in Emmett County. And Sam, you and I serve on the Northern Michigan Community Action Agency, which is a 10-county regional program. I also am working with Seeds and a variety of Grand Traverse County on an organics diversion, 10-county organics diversion program. So we're basing it off of our materials management planning. And we've gone county to county. We've looked at every solid waste plan in the counties, and we've taken what organics language is in there. And so we're really doing a rollout and wanting to dig deep in each of our respective counties. So between Leelanau and Benzie and Grand Traverse and Charlevoix County and Antrim and Emmett, and then there's the other ones like Wexford and the other smaller Roscommon, they're all part of this 10-county region. So it's going to be a heavy lift for each of our counties, and I'm hopeful that there'll be some partnerships and strategic planning that could be happen from county to county. You know, we kind of operate in our own silos sometimes. So I'm hopeful that maybe some of these counties will consider partnering together for their materials management process. And so there'll be a lot of that going on, and Emmett will be, at the helm and hopefully giving presentations about how our model works and that it is scalable and replicable. And we also love to do tours. So don't hesitate. It's only about an 1.5-hour drive from where you are, I think, depending on where you are in Leelanau County, to come and tour the Emmett County facility. So it's a 90-minute tour, and it's very educational, and you get to see live and in the flesh our investments in robotics and human beings and all the good stuff that we're doing in our community in the city of Petoskey and Harbor Springs and Mackinac and all of the above for Emmett.
well, we have 2 commissioners on the call today, and I bet they would love to see your plan. So if you want to
Lovely.
send it over. And also what I loved about the tour is the art. You didn't mention the sculptures there. So,
Yeah.
but we have to move on because we have about 10 or 15 more minutes of this meeting.
Okay.
And,
Well, thank you so much for having me, and please don't hesitate to be in touch. And if there's any opportunities for us to attend any of the good stuff you guys have going on, please do extend an invite.
all right, and hope to see you at the next board meeting.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.